How's it guys, this is Dayvy FPL and welcome back to another Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video we're going to be going over the top 6 preseason players going into that game week 1 deadline. I thought this was a perfect time to make this video as the preseason fixtures are kind of nearing their end. It's not the best time as the Community Shield and sides like Arsenal still have preseason fixtures to go, but I thought that this was when I would record the video and most fixtures have concluded. This is also a good time to record the video as there's less than a week till the FPL Game Week 1 deadline where all our sides have to be kind of finalized, so I thought this video would kind of help you maybe give some differentials or some lower owned players and cheaper players into your FPL squads. So let's get into the video. Now, a quick reminder about Dayvy vs the World. This is the Dayvy FPL Community League for you guys to join and compete against me and my other viewers. The code to join is BDFI35. I appreciate those of you who have already joined, and if you have not joined, this is probably going to be one of the last times you can, so I recommend you join quickly. As I said, the code is BDFI35. Some general points before we get into the video. The first point is I know we've been talking a lot about preseason and how it is not the most important thing and the be all and end all for our FPL decisions. However, it does give us an estimated starting lineup, especially now that the business end of the preseason has concluded. Business end being that these are the last preseason fixtures where managers should be playing their best starting lineups and the starting lineups that should play game week 1. That being said, there is a week left to the start of the FPL deadline, so there could be some changes here and there and could be some injuries. As I said, the Community Shield fixture has not been played yet, so there might be injuries in that. Touch wood that there is not, but there might still be injuries, and then just take some of these players and just vary them a little bit. Now, some minutes played are estimated as a lot of Premier League sides and stats sites don't have the exact information, as a lot of these preseason friendlies are played behind closed doors and sometimes are not really televised and recorded. So if a site was not recorded, I simply took it as the player playing 45 minutes, so that's why you could see some of the stats and minutes played being a little bit varied. I've also done this with some of the assists, as lots of sites don't list the assists, so I could miss 1 assist or 2 assists here and there. And now, not all of these players played the same amount of games. A lot of sides played, for example, I think Man City played 4 preseason games, whereas other sides like Burnley could have played 5 or 6. So just keep that in mind, but I have included the minutes played for each player, so that could give you a little bit of a discretion of players and their minutes. And I've tried to not put the same team twice. So in this video, you're going to only see one team twice. I've kind of gone for the player that has had the best preseason from those selected teams. I thought I would make this video as I've been getting a lot of questions about certain players. Probably you'll see them towards the end of the video, but especially in my live stream, I got answered and asked a lot of the questions, relatively the similar questions about a certain player towards the end of the video. So I thought this would be a good video to kind of give you an indication on my thoughts on these certain players. So let's get into it. The first player I've gone for is Andre Gray. The Watford striker comes in at £6 million and he played 220 minutes, which is quite respectable, but he was the leading goal scorer for Watford, having scored 4 goals. He doesn't register any assists, but being that out and out centre forward, I don't really think that he's the assist type, so more the goal scoring threat. So I think that he will partner whoever the other player is fit. Deulofeu has a knock, but Javi Garcia said that he should be training this week and could return and feature in the game week 1. So I think that probably means that Deulofeu might have a bench appearance, and we could see the likes of Andre Gray probably partnering Troy Deeney. I think that Andre Gray has won that spot for Watford, having scored those 4 goals and kind of showing the manager that he is a goal scorer, and having shown in preseason that he can deliver the goods for Watford. Now Watford's fixtures, they have a nice game week 1 against Brighton, who can be defensively good on their day, but are sometimes a little bit hit and miss. And then they have an Everton fixture away and then West Ham at home. I'd probably play Andre Gray with a rotation midfielder or another striker, as I wouldn't trust the attack against the likes of maybe Man City away and Spurs away, just due to those fixtures being away. So Andre Gray provides a nice alternative to the likes of Deulofeu, who's probably the most popular Watford player, and also maybe a little bit of difference to Troy Deeney. He comes in at 6 million, which kind of fills that void a little bit, as there's not a lot of 6 million strikers in FPL this season, and more of the better strikers being 6.5. So Andre Gray remains an interesting option. The next option I've gone for is Callum Wilson, and you're probably sick to death about hearing me talk about Callum Wilson, as I have mentioned him in basically every video. But the £8 million striker from Bournemouth has incredible fixtures attacking wise and should offer the goods this season. He played 270 minutes and registered 3 goals and 2 assists. And like my previous video talking about the best FPL forwards, you can see here that Callum Wilson offers that assisting threat again. That is why I favour him over other options such as Josh King and maybe the likes of Ryan Fraser, as I think he has a little bit more goal threat than the winger. So as I said, Bournemouth has some very nice fixtures, and I can see Callum Wilson scoring a ton of goals, and I hope that Bournemouth start off hot. He's probably going to be my main striker, as I probably won't be opting for a premium striker this close to the start of the season, and maybe bring one in later in as we get into the great fixtures that those other teams have. But Callum Wilson will probably be in a lot of starting lineups, and it's nice to see that he has had a good preseason that hopefully will result in FPL points with those newly promoted starting 2 fixtures. The next option we've gone for is Raheem Sterling, and he has had a stellar preseason and hopefully will have a stellar FPL season. Comes in at 12 million, which makes him one of the most expensive players in FPL, but I think, like me, you probably will have him in your squad come the Game Week 1 deadline. The Man City winger has been on fire, scoring 4 goals and 1 assist this preseason. However, it is noted that maybe Man City played a little bit of easier opposition, but then again, they did beat West Ham, but unfortunately drew to Wolves in that final of that Asian Cup. Now, Man City can basically beat any team on their day, and that West Ham opening fixture is particularly appetizing, as West Ham usually tries and attacks these top 6 sides and usually gets caught on the break, and that's exactly what Raheem Sterling pace can offer, getting those goals and assists. Now, Man City are one of those fixture-proof sides, so I can rate him against any opposition, and I think, as I said, he will have a great season. And it's nice to know that he is playing in that starting lineup for Man City come pre-season, and hopefully today in the Community Shield we can get some closure on what the Man City lineup will be. But I'm kind of expecting Raheem Sterling to start on the wing, but there has been rumours of him starting up front, and that would be absolutely incredible. As we all know, a midfielder out of position equals FPL points usually. So Raheem Sterling will definitely be in my squad and will probably be in yours as well. Now, our next option is Chris Wood, who has probably had the best preseason out of any FPL player. The Burnley striker comes in at 6.5, and he has played 247 minutes this preseason and has registered 6 goals but no assists. He is a little bit similar to Andre Gray in the respect that I didn't really expect him to get many assists, especially with the style of play that Burnley do, kind of cross the ball in and give those long balls. So I don't think Chris Wood will be getting that many assists, but he's definitely got a lot of goals. He even registered a hat-trick in one of his preseason games. So Chris Wood is an interesting one for me, as Burnley have signed Jay Rodriguez this transfer window. So I'm hoping that Chris Wood wins that spot for one of the 2 strikers up front with maybe Ashley Barnes. But there has been talk that Jay Rodriguez, having come in as a newly transferred player, is basically assured a starting lineup place and first team minutes. So, but I think with that 6 goals of Chris Wood, it's quite hard for Sean Dyche to ignore, and he certainly will probably be in that starting Game Week 1 lineup. They play Southampton at home, which is a nice fixture, and then Arsenal away is not the worst in the world. However, the next 2 are quite hard. So I would probably recommend maybe holding off for the opening 4 fixtures and then bring him in for Game Week 5 if Burnley are showing a little bit of attacking form. So Chris Wood is probably another one of those options at that 6.5 million range mark. There's quite a couple strikers there, but not almost a definite option to go for, which makes that 6.5 budget range quite interesting. Now our next option, another 6.5 striker, is Diogo JOTA. The Wolves man has made the transfer from midfield to forward this FPL season, and he has managed 3 goals and 1 assist in preseason. 285 minutes played shows that he is probably going to start that game week 1 deadline. My only worry and concern with Diogo JOTA is they have signed a new striker, so it's going to be interesting to see how that striker rotates, if he is their starting striker or if he rotates with one of the likes of Diogo JOTA and Jimenez is to be seen and is unknown. The other thing about Wolves is they have pretty bad fixtures to start off with, having played Man United at home, Everton away and Chelsea at home in their opening 5 fixtures. They also have Leicester away, which is quite a tricky fixture depending on what Leicester side's pitches up for the game, as defensively they are sometimes good but sometimes a little bit hit or miss. So I'm probably going to be holding off with Diogo JOTA, but it's nice to see that Wolves have continued their form from last season into preseason, and I'm expecting them to have another great season. The one thing to note with Wolves is that they do have Europa League, so if they're going to split their strikers between the Premier League and Europa, it could happen, and we've seen it with some sides before. But I'm expecting Diogo JOTA to start that game week 1 team, and he should get some nice FPL goals and assists, which result in FPL points this upcoming season. The player that you've probably all been waiting for, and one that I've been asked basically every hour since he has gone on a nice run of form, and that player is BARKLEY from Chelsea. He comes in at 6 million, which makes him an appetizing option as he is quite cheap, and as you can see, his stats: 4 goals and 3 assists this preseason, having played 236 minutes. The other thing that's nice is that not only playing for a top 6 side, but Chelsea also have a nice run of fixtures, a lot of green in there and a lot of 2s and 3s. The one thing that's probably putting a little bit of people off is that Man United away fixture starting off, but don't let that kind of block your vision from the bigger picture and bring him in. I think at 6 million, he's the perfect player to kind of take a punt on, as he's cheap enough to transfer out and in, and even bench if you think that he's not going to get points. As I said, with Chelsea's fixtures, you're probably not going to be benching him often, and it could be worth just putting him on, and even if he comes on as a substitute, he could score some points. The other thing to note about his preseason fixtures is that most of his goals have come from penalties, and with penalties in the Premier League season and VAR this season, there could be an increased amount. Now, it's yet to be seen if BARKLEY is the #1 penalty taker for Chelsea, as Jorginho is said to be probably the best option, but with BARKLEY's preseason form, he might take that spot from him. The one thing I'm a little bit concerned about is that with Chelsea's preseason fixture yesterday, the starting lineup looked quite set as the starting lineup for game week 1, except for maybe Andre Christensen being substituted for David Luiz and N'Golo Kante coming into the squad. But in that starting lineup, BARKLEY was on the bench, and he only came on in the 82nd minute. He did score a penalty towards the end, but it just worries me a little bit that he wasn't starting, and that could show that Frank Lampard maybe is saving him as a bench player and a kind of impact player. Nevertheless, if BARKLEY does start in that game week 1 lineup, he probably should be a good option for the remainder of the season, and I can see him offering a lot of FPL points if he does get the minutes. But as I said, worth taking a punt, as he is quite cheap at 6 million and could be a kind of piece in your puzzle of your budget enablers for your upcoming game week 1 lineup. So I hope that's been enough information on BARKLEY, as I've been asked about him quite a lot, and hopefully that can kind of give you a conclusion whether to bring him in your squad or not. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching, and I hope it's been informative, and maybe it's sprung your mind on some of these other alternative players that you haven't considered yet. I'd appreciate it if you liked the video, if you did enjoy, and subscribe if you're new or have not subscribed yet. I'm looking forward to the upcoming FPL season, and I hope you are too, and I hope that you stick with me and we have a great season ahead of us. But otherwise, I'm going to be signing off. This has been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers, bye.